Several new details about Assassin's Creed Mirage have emerged through many different sources, and in this video we're going to discuss all of them, including the rumored delay of the game to August 2023 or later, the new plot details coming from a synopsis in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Basim's recent character profile, a look at the recent screenshots and concepts for the game, the few recent breadcrumbs about Basim's internal struggle, and a brief analysis of Roshan's quest in Assassin's Creed Valhalla and all that it might entail for what concerns Mirage. So as usual, no time to waste, let's dive into all the recent news and details about Assassin's Creed Mirage. So let's start from the information coming from some recent news synopsis for Mirage. In the Assassin's Creed franchise menu of the title screen of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, players can find 3 synopses of Assassin's Creed Mirage, and while the gist of what they say is the usual information about Basim, his nightmarish visions, the hidden ones, etc., we have one of these synopses that is seemingly adding some new details. In fact, we get to know that after becoming an orphan and with a full tragic past of his own, Basim participated in a quote-unquote act of deadly retribution, which seemingly took place in Baghdad, after which Basim fled the city and joined the Hidden Ones. So, we already mentioned in our past videos that we know that Basim lost his mother at a young age and that he was then raised in Samarra only by his father Ishaq, who was the architect of the Great Mosque of Samarra. Valhalla also showed that another man who played the quote-unquote Caliphate game better took the credit for the creation and the construction of the Great Mosque, which caused Basim's father to be exiled and die in poverty, and historically, the man remembered to be the mind behind the Great Mosque of Samarra was the Abbasid Caliph al-Mutawakkil, a caliph that was later assassinated in a coup led by the Turkic Guard in 861 AD. But now we know that as an orphan, that is after his father died too, Basim took some kind of revenge that involved the death of somebody, supposedly within Baghdad, after which he fled the city to join the Hidden Ones. So once again, I feel like I should bring back my theory that I shared some time ago, as I'd imagine Mirage will show that Caliph al-Mutawakkil took credit for the creation of the Great Mosque of Samarra, which caused Basim's father to eventually die, and thus somehow Basim decided to take revenge on the Caliph, the act of deadly retribution mentioned in Valhalla's franchise menu, and ended up being part of the coup that killed him in 861 AD, which, by the way, has already been described by the devs as the year when Assassin's Creed Mirage will be starting. So I'd imagine we'll start the game with this first mission where Basim will be part of the plot to kill al-Mutawakkil, and once the deed is done, Basim might get chased by the guards, and that's where Roshan will find him and give him safe passage away from Baghdad, as mentioned in Valhalla's franchise menu, before taking him to Alamut and recruiting him in the Hidden Ones. I guess we'll see in just a few months if I'm right about this or not. You might remember that a few weeks ago we shared the English translation of an Abstergo character profile of Basim that was released at Paris Games Week 2022. While most of its content was common knowledge, and it's not clear how canon the video is considering Basim's DNA is dubbed Test Sample Number 18, as if Abstergo never tested any other DNA since Desmond, we did get some dates that we did not know of and that share a bit of light on the timings of the event in Basim's life. So Basim was born in 835 AD, and he seemingly met Roshan for the first time in 852, which wouldn't bode well for my previous theory, but at least would justify why Basim is 17 at the start of the game and how the game would take place 20 years before Valhalla, which indeed started in 872. But then, I guess, the game is not going to start in 861, or maybe 861 is when Baghdad opens up to the player. To be honest, I'm still confused with the dating. By the way, the video also shows 867 to be the date when Basim arrives in Constantinople, which matches the date when the upcoming Assassin's Creed The Golden City novel is going to take place, which will actually see Basim and Hytham operating as Hidden Ones in Constantinople. Over the last few days and weeks, Ubisoft has shared several new concepts and wall arts dedicated to Mirage that we haven't shared on the channel yet, and from which we can get some glimpses of what we can expect from the game. For starters, we got these concepts and renders by several artists at Digic Pictures, the studio who created the CGI trailer for the game, including this render that shows us a bit more of Basim's Master Assassin outfit, or these work-in-progress concepts that show some new perspectives of the trailer along with some new hidden ones other than Basim, but that's not all. In fact, recently Ubisoft Bordeaux, within a video on their YouTube channel, has shared a few new concepts about the game. For example, we see Basim in a grey outfit and with a hood. This could be one of the original Street Thief concepts. Then we see him as a hidden one overlooking a target, then a close-up on the hidden blade and the white and red robes, and finally a concept on what seems to be an initiation ceremony of the hidden ones, and another artwork that shows an adult hidden one, presumably Basim, and a smaller, younger hidden one who may or may not be Hytham during his training with our main character. Or they could be Roshan and Basim. Anyway, like we saw, there's a number of scenes we might be seeing in Mirage that were designed in these concepts, and even then, that's not all. In fact, Ubisoft has also released some new art from Mirage in the wall art section of the Ubisoft store. So along with the classic assassin overlooking the CT pose that we saw already in a dedicated concept art and another composition of already known assets, we did get a new front view of Basim and his weapons along with his eagle and Kidu, an art about parkour with what seems to be a street thief and an assassin jumping across roofs, and finally another front view of Basim showcasing his hidden blade. So yes, a lot of new assets and concept art that can give us a feeling of how the game might look. And we also got a new Mirage screenshot or wallpaper that was released on December the 16th, which not only showed us an air assassination in-game and another look at Basim's Master Assassin outfit, but also is another direct tribute to a promo screenshot for the original Assassin's Creed game, another message showing what the devs are trying to achieve with Mirage. With the release of the last chapter for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think we have started to gain a few breadcrumbs as for what concerns Basim's internal struggle, what we might see about it in Mirage, and possibly what the Djinn actually is. I'll spare you from the whole explanation about what sages are, we have a dedicated analysis for that on the channel, but what we now know is that Basim described his internal struggle as intense but brief, ending with a mutual understanding of who they were, which I did interpret as Basim understanding who Loki really was, and then at times following his path and at other times following his own or what he believed in, like the Hidden Ones and the Creed. What's interesting to see here is not just that the internal struggle was brief, meaning it maybe didn't span years as it was the case for Eivor, but also that the internal struggle was actually with Loki. And the reason why this is interesting is that back in September, the narrative director for Mirage, Sarah Beaulieu, had mentioned on Twitter that the various theories about what the Djinn was meant to represent that she had seen, which I'd imagine included also the Djinn being a representation of Loki or his memories, were incorrect. So I wonder how this internal struggle with Loki that was brief but intense might factor in with the Djinn if that's not meant to represent Loki's memories trying to influence Basim's life. In general, I think we do not have enough elements right now to make a grounded attempt at a theory about the Djinn, at least not in the way I usually do, and thankfully so I would add, because it's a little early. You might have seen it already on the internet. It has been reported by Insider Gaming that Assassin's Creed Mirage's internally planned release date has been moved to August 2023, which the website itself says it is just a tentative date and a subject to change one, especially considering that, again, according to the rumors, with this new push, Mirage has already been delayed twice, with the first push being from the presumed February 2023 release date to May to June 2023, and now we are hearing of August of 2023 as a tentative date, so I'd imagine at this point we could even go directly to September or November in order to reach the usual release date for the AAA Assassin's Creed games, which would also mark an almost 3-year distance between Valhalla and Mirage. By the way, in the same report, Insider Gaming mentioned some updates on the other announced Assassin's Creed games, such as Project Red, the game set in feudal Japan, which is apparently facing quote-unquote some issues in development, while Project Hexe, the game presumably set during the German witch trials of the 15th or 16th century, has reportedly been received with overwhelming positivity not just externally, but also internally during its proof of concept stages and could start full production soon. Insider Gaming also reported that Red should release in 2024 with Hexe in 2026, but due to Red's current issues, it's not clear if those dates could be pushed back, but of course this is probably looking too much into the future for the time being. You might have seen we haven't prepared an entire analysis on the Roshan quest in Valhalla, but there's still a good deal of information or teasers on Mirage coming from it. So the main takeaway from the story is that Roshan doesn't die in Mirage, as of course this quest is set 20 years after the events in Baghdad, or even more if this is set after the end of Valhalla. And considering Roshan is in her 50s in Mirage, she should be in her 70s or 80s here. Roshan does make her appearance with a red smoke bomb, the same kind of smoke bomb that we are going to use in Mirage, as teased both in the cinematic trailer and in a promotional screenshot. Roshan has reached England in her hunt for a target called Al-Sila that belongs to the Order of the Ancients, and she says that's a fitting name for her target given her duplicitous nature, because Sila literally means hag or treacherous spirit, thanks to Arshak from AC Landmarks for the help with this. And more specifically, a Sila is a supernatural creature from the Arabian folklore, which is classified as being one of the most malicious class of jinn that are talented shapeshifters often appearing in a female human form. Now, I don't know how much of that might be relevant here and with Mirage in general, though all that talk of jinns and shapeshifters did get me thinking. Nonetheless, Eivor and Roshan secure a temporary alliance on the basis of their common enemy and set out on assassinating Al-Sila. From the various dialogues we get that Roshan has been working for the assassins possibly even before Eivor was born, that'd be 847 AD, and that at some point she lost her hidden blade, and because she says the years without it were tough, this might mean that she didn't actually lose it or that it was taken by an enemy, but rather I'd imagine because she might have been cast away from the Hidden Ones, which is why the years without it might have been the hardest she's known. Eventually, Roshan advises Eivor to use a stealthy approach in what is pretty much a black box mission, another wink by this quest to Mirage, and when Eivor stages the destruction and finally faces Al-Sila, Roshan assassinates her, eliminating another member of the Order of the Ancients, which brings to the end of the quest, with Eivor being very impressed by Roshan's prowess at her age and asking her what her plans will be. Interestingly enough, Roshan answers that Al-Sila was just a tiny element on her path and she was actually after some documents that her target was holding, and while she doesn't clarify what's in them, she says that they hold the future, a seed to plant in Jerusalem, which could mean a variety of different things that we don't know about yet, but I can at least share two hypotheses. The easiest and more likely one is that if Roshan is back with the Hidden Ones or has always been with them, the plan here might be to build the Hidden Ones Bureau in Jerusalem that we see in Assassin's Creed 1 as the Assassin Bureau managed by Malik al-Sayif. The other idea is that Roshan might go to Jerusalem also to have the Hidden Ones study the remains of Solomon's temple, hoping to find the Ark of the Covenant and the Apple of Eden stored inside of it, though if that were the case, that research would have lasted almost 3 centuries until the Third Crusade and the events shown at the very beginning of Assassin's Creed 1, where Altair recovered the Ark of the Covenant but at the cost of betraying all the tenets of the Creed. But of course, I'd like to hear what you guys think of this. What are your opinions as for what Roshan is going to do in Jerusalem, keeping in mind that we are 3 centuries away from Assassin's Creed 1? Oh, by the way, there is one final detail that emerges from the Roshan mission, and more specifically from the Mentor of Alamut item set, which you can obtain after completing the quest. By checking the description of the single items, you get to see that it's an outfit designed for stealth and for a member of the Hidden Ones especially, but the most interesting element here is that the Mentor of Alamut outfit is actually a set of ceremonial robes that once belonged to Rayhan, the so-called former Master Mentor of the Hidden Ones. Roshan was the mentor that supposedly supported Basim's and Hytham's expedition to cleanse northern Europe from the Order of the Ancients, and was the same mentor that wrote to Hytham following the events of the ending of Valhalla, saying that he was surprised about Basim's betrayal, but not so much because his personal manias had affected him for years, and also in the same letter he invited Hytham to visit the newly completed fortress of Alamut, where he would have also met another mentor called Fulad. Now, Roshan is described as a master mentor in the outfit description, which is a rank that has never been mentioned before, and I think this is to create a kind of separation in Mirage between Roshan, who will be Basim's mentor, and possibly other mentors like Fulad, though we don't know if they're actually going to appear in the game, and the leader, or the best of them all, who at this point we know to be Roshan. Moreover, you might remember that in various bits from our interview with art director Jean-Luc Salah, he did mention that
Roshan, she's a master assassin. She's Basim's mentor. She's not the best assassin of that time because there is another one.
So there is another hidden one who is the best of that time, and that is very likely to appear in Mirage, and I do believe, based on the mentor of Alamut outfit, that it's going to be Roshan, who is likely going to be presented as the leader of the Levantine hidden ones with his master mentor rank, and we are probably going to meet him in the Alamut sections of the game, possibly while wearing a version of the mentor of Alamut outfit during some ceremonies. In general, I think that the Roshan quest in Valhalla can give us some interesting hints about what we might find in Mirage in retrospect. For example, I guess we can expect a younger version of Al-Sila to appear in Mirage and to play a kind of role, not sure if meaningful or not, but relevant enough for her to be able to escape any assassination attempt, and for Roshan to search for her all the way to England 20-something years later. Hopefully, Mirage will also show us why Roshan lost her hidden blade, whether she was cast away from the Brotherhood, whether she was framed, or if she literally lost her blade, and we should also see if Basim had anything to do with this. Like I said, there's also a huge chance for Roshan to be one of the main characters of Mirage and one of the mystery characters that haven't been added to the Mirage website yet, and finally, I would hope for Mirage to explain why Roshan eventually wants to reach Jerusalem in her final years and why she believes that city to hold the future. Did Roshan have a plan to achieve that might take a good chunk of her life and might include Jerusalem in order to be accomplished? Only time will tell, I guess. And of course, there is one more current mystery tied to Assassin's Creed Mirage coming from the last chapter quest in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which involves Basim in the modern day, a very peculiar and fixed time frame, and the hype for the potential release of some new content about Mirage, all of which we discussed in our analysis of the ending of the last chapter and that you can see on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.